Hi everyone, and welcome back to Sweet Love Stories, where every heartbeat has a story. Today's tale is one that'll make you smile, ache, and maybe even believe in love again. It's about a quiet, round-faced girl who always sat in the back of the classroom, and the charming bad boy who couldn't stop teasing her. But one unexpected accident changed everything, and turned laughter into longing. Is it possible for a notorious heartbreaker to fall? For the one girl everyone overlooked? Stay with us. This is a story you won't forget. It was just another ordinary Monday morning at Rosewood High. The hallways buzzed with teenage chatter, the scent of cheap cafeteria pancakes hung in the air, and somewhere near locker 132, chaos was about to unfold. Meet Mia. A sweet, round-faced girl with the kindest heart and the sharpest brain in class. Always prepared, always polite, and always underestimated. She had a soft laugh, a quiet presence, and an unfortunate talent for attracting unwanted attention, mostly from one specific person. Enter Jake Carter, the school's walking red flag. Leather jacket, untucked shirt, a cocky smirk, and a reputation that made teachers sigh and girls swoon. He was charming, reckless, always one detention away from suspension. And for some reason, he loved messing with Mia. Every day, Jake had a new joke. A donut left on her desk with a wink. A fake love letter. From the Donut King, or today's masterpiece. He photoshopped Mia's face onto the school mascot and set it as the class desktop background. The class roared with laughter. Mia's face flushed red. Not from embarrassment, she'd gotten used to that, but from sheer frustration. She glared at Jake, who was practically glowing with pride at his prank. He leaned back in his chair, gave her his signature smirk, and mouthed, "You're welcome." But that day, something shifted. The look in Mia's eyes wasn't her usual shy annoyance. It was fire. And for the first time, Jake paused. Just for a second. He didn't know it yet. But that tiny moment, the flicker in her eyes, would be the beginning of something he never saw coming. Behind Mia's gentle smile was a world few people truly saw. She lived in a small house with her grandmother, a retired librarian who made the best hot chocolate in town and believed that every problem in life could be solved with a good book and a warm blanket. Grandma Rose was Mia's rock, her safe place, and the only person who ever called her "my little sunshine" without a hint of sarcasm. At school, though, Mia was anything but sunshine to most people. Her round cheeks and quiet demeanor made her an easy target. She was the kind of girl people teased without thinking twice, but she never let it break her. With a deep breath and a silent eye roll, Mia held her head high, handed in her homework early, and kept going. Then there was Jake Carter. Jake lived on the other side of town, in a house that always seemed a little too quiet. His parents had divorced when he was 10, and he'd been living with his ex-military grandfather ever since. Discipline was a daily menu item at Jake's house, and rebellion was his only way of breathing. To the world, Jake was trouble in a hoodie. Fast on his bike, sharp with comebacks, and allergic to authority. But if anyone ever looked closer, which no one did, they might notice that his smile never quite reached his eyes. Mia and Jake? They were opposites in every possible way. She was order. He was chaos. She wanted to disappear. He demanded attention. She believed in kindness. He believed in not caring. And yet, fate has a funny way of bringing the unlikely. It was supposed to be a fun school trip. Just a sunny day at the park, frisbee, sandwiches, and students pretending to enjoy nature while secretly checking for Wi-Fi signals. Jake, of course, turned everything into his personal playground. He was racing across the field, tossing a football, laughing way too loudly and doing everything except listening to the teacher's instructions. Meanwhile, Mia sat under a tree, quietly sketching in her notebook, enjoying the breeze and her temporary escape from Jake's daily nonsense. But fate, or maybe just Jake's complete lack of spatial awareness, had other plans. Chasing a wildly thrown football, Jake came barreling across the field like a rogue bull. He didn't even notice Mia standing up until, bam! He crashed into her shoulder, and before anyone could react, Mia stumbled backward and fell hard onto the grass. Silence. Even. Jake stopped laughing. Mia didn't cry. She didn't yell. She just picked up her notebook with trembling hands, gave Jake a quick glance, one filled with hurt, disappointment, and something heavier, and walked away with a slight limp. Jake opened his mouth to say something, maybe even apologize, but the words got stuck in his throat. For the first time, his joke had gone too far, and it didn't feel funny anymore. The next day, Mia wasn't in class, or the day after that, or the next. Jake told himself he didn't care, but he noticed. Her empty seat by the window bugged him more than he expected. The classroom felt off. Too quiet. Too dull. By the fourth day, Jake found himself staring at the door every time it opened, hoping she'd walk in with her usual calm expression and sarcastic side eyes. She didn't. And that's when Jake realized something strange. He missed her. Not just her annoyed eye rolls or witty comebacks. He missed her. The girl he claimed to annoy just for fun was suddenly the one person his day felt weird without. And deep down, he knew. He'd messed up. Jake didn't know what he was doing in front of Mia's house. He'd walked past it 3 times already, pretending to be out for a casual stroll. Hood up, hands in his pockets, nerves fully activated. He wasn't even sure how he found her address. Okay, maybe he overheard a teacher mentioning she lived near Maple Street. But that was beside the point. Finally, he walked up the front steps like he just happened to be passing by and rang the doorbell, clutching a lopsided paper bag of cookies he bought from a gas station. The door creaked open, and there she was, Mia, in cozy pajamas and fuzzy socks, her hair slightly messy and one ankle wrapped in a bandage. She blinked. Jake? He cleared his throat, trying to sound cool. Oh, hey, what a coincidence. Was just in the neighborhood. Figured I'd, drop off some gourmet bakery goods. He held up the crumpled bag like it was a peace offering from another planet. Mia raised an eyebrow. From the gas station? Only the finest, he grinned. To his relief, she smiled. Just a little. She stepped aside. Well, if you've come this far, you might as well come in. Jake sat stiffly on the couch while Mia poured tea like it was a royal ceremony. The awkward silence was almost painful, until Mia casually said, I didn't know bad boys delivered snacks now. Is this part of your community service? Jake laughed, genuinely caught off guard. You know, you're a lot sassier when you're not limping away from my accidents. That was the start. What began as clumsy small talk turned into real conversation. Mia talked about the books she loved, how she wanted to study psychology, how she noticed when people were hurting, even when they tried to hide it. Jake listened more than he spoke, surprised by how easy it was to just be with her. He was even more surprised by how funny she was. Not the loud look-at-me kind of funny, but sharp, clever, dry humor that made him laugh without trying. And for the first time, Jake found himself wondering why he had never noticed any of this before. Maybe he was too busy hiding behind jokes. Maybe he never really looked at her. Mia wasn't just the quiet girl with round cheeks anymore. She was brilliant. She was real. And when she laughed, really laughed. It did something strange to his chest. By the time he left, Jake didn't feel like the same person who knocked on her door pretending it was just a coincidence. And deep down, he knew. This wasn't the last visit, not by a long shot. Something had definitely changed. It started small. Like how Jake suddenly stopped laughing at the jokes other students made about Mia. One afternoon in the hallway, someone made a snide comment about her weight. Normally Jake might have smirked, or worse, added a punchline. But this time, he stepped forward, eyes sharp. "Say that again," he said coolly, "and you'll be eating your lunch through a straw." The hallway fell silent. The guy mumbled something and backed off. Mia blinked in surprise, her heart thudding in her chest, not just because Jake had defended her, but because he hadn't even looked at her after. He just slipped his hands into his pockets and walked away like it was no big deal. But to her, it was. A few days later, fate paired them for a class project. At first, Mia sighed, expecting chaos. Jake? He just grinned like he'd won the lottery. To her surprise, Jake actually showed up. Not only that, he tried. Sure, he groaned at the textbook and made dramatic noises every time math was mentioned, but he listened when Mia explained things. And when he didn't understand, he asked, without sarcasm, "Wait, so this equation is basically like a toxic relationship? Looks good at first, but gets worse the more you solve it?" Mia burst out laughing. Honestly, that's kind of brilliant. Over time, their study sessions turned into long conversations. Jake, with his chaotic charm, slowly brought Mia out of her shell. He made her laugh louder, speak up more. And Mia, she grounded him, showed him he was capable of more than just being the bad boy. One afternoon, while she was helping him review flashcards, she looked up to find him already staring at her, not in a teasing way. Not like she was a joke, but like she was the answer to a question he hadn't realized he was asking. His heart skipped, and for the first time, Jake realized it wasn't just Mia's smile he liked. Just when things were starting to feel right, high school drama stepped in with its usual flair. It all started with a careless whisper, like a wildfire spreading faster than anyone could stop it. Someone in their grade, probably one of those experts in stirring trouble, spread a nasty rumor. "Jake's just messing around with that Chubby girl. It's all a joke. Don't take it seriously." The words hit Mia like a punch to the gut. She overheard the rumor in the cafeteria, right between bites of her sandwich. The world suddenly felt colder, the laughter around her sharper. How could Jake, who had just begun to make her feel special, be playing her like a game? That afternoon, Mia stopped answering Jake's texts. She avoided his glances in the hallway. When he tried to talk, she turned away, her eyes telling him she was hurt beyond words. Jake, on the other hand, was blindsided. He replayed every moment they'd shared, searching for signs he'd missed. But all he found was truth. He liked Mia. No games, no jokes, just her. The worst part? Feeling powerless. For the first time, Jake didn't know how to fix things with his usual smirk or sharp comeback. He felt exposed, vulnerable, and unbelievably lonely. During lunch, he sat alone on the bleachers, tracing patterns on the grass, thinking of Mia. He missed her laugh, missed the way her eyes lit up when she cracked a joke no one else got, missed her fiercely defending him during that hallway incident. "Maybe I messed up," he muttered. "But damn, I didn't mean to mess with her heart." Meanwhile, Mia wrestled with a storm of emotions. Part of her wanted to confront Jake, to hear him say it wasn't true, but pride, and the sting of betrayal, kept her silent. High school felt huge, confusing, and sometimes cruel. And just like that, two hearts that had started to beat in sync were now drifting apart, caught in the mess of words no one should have said. But this wasn't the end. Not yet. The sky opened up just as school ended, a sudden downpour soaking everything in seconds. Students scattered like startled birds, clutching backpacks and scrambling for cover. But Jake stood rooted at the school gate, drenched and shivering, waiting for one person. Mia hesitated when she saw him, soaking wet, hair plastered to his forehead, eyes serious but hopeful. She wanted to turn and walk away, protect herself from the vulnerability in his gaze. But something pulled her closer. "Jake?" she called, her voice barely louder than the rain. He looked at her, swallowing hard. "Mia, wait." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The rain drummed around them, a chaotic soundtrack to their stormy feelings. Then Jake took a deep breath, finally dropping the walls he'd built around his heart. "I need to say something. Something I should have said a long time ago." Mia's eyes searched his face, waiting. "I used to think you were just a joke, someone to tease when I was bored. But that was never true," he said, voice cracking just a little. He took a step closer, rain dripping from his chin. "You're the first person who's made me want to be better. Not for anyone else, but for me. For us." Mia blinked, the words sinking in. Her heart pounded like a drum. Tears mixed with the rain on her cheeks. "I'm sorry I hurt you," Jake continued, voice earnest. "And I promise from now on I'm serious. About you. About us." Without thinking, Mia threw her arms around him, the rain masking her tears as they soaked through his jacket. It was messy, imperfect, and utterly real. For the first time, the bad boy and the girl he once teased found a moment that wasn't about games or jokes. It was about something much deeper, something worth fighting for. As they stood there, holding each other in the rain, the world blurred around them. And in that wild, wet moment, everything finally made sense. After that rainy day confession, everything changed. Not overnight, but in those small, meaningful ways that make life feel magical. Mia walked into school with a new kind of confidence. It wasn't just about the way she held her head higher or smiled more. It was the quiet strength radiating from within. She wasn't just the girl who used to shrink from teasing anymore. She was herself, bright, witty, and unshakable. And Jake? Well, he surprised everyone. The notorious bad boy started showing up to class on time. He even opened a textbook without complaint. Okay, maybe a little. He swapped his usual smirks for genuine smiles, especially when Mia was around. One afternoon, as they worked on a project together, Mia caught Jake carefully highlighting his notes. "Since when did you become a bookworm?" she teased. Jake shrugged, grinning. "Guess I'm trying to be less dangerous and more dependable. All for you, you know." Mia laughed, shaking her head. "Don't get too soft on me." Their classmates noticed too. The boy who once teased Mia relentlessly was now her biggest supporter, often seen whispering jokes only she understood or defending her with a fiery passion. Their relationship was far from perfect. There were still moments of playful bickering, Jake's occasional bad boy smirks, and Mia's eye rolls that made him laugh harder. But that was the beauty of it. They were two different worlds, but somehow perfectly in sync. And Jake's smile? That dangerous grin that once made everyone wary now softened whenever Mia was near. It wasn't a warning anymore. It was a promise that he was here, changed, and utterly devoted. Mia caught his eye one afternoon, and he gave her that gentle smile, a look that said, "You've got me." And for once, Jake's dangerous smile was the safest place Mia could ever be. Their story wasn't just about a girl and a bad boy. It was about how love could turn teasing into tenderness, doubts into confidence, and two very different hearts into one. And that, dear listeners, is the sweet ending to a school romance that nobody saw coming, but everyone secretly hoped for. Every story has its twists and turns, and this one reminds us that people are often more than what they seem. At first glance, Mia and Jake showed us that kindness, understanding, and a little patience can break down walls and change hearts. It's a beautiful reminder that love doesn't always come in perfect packages. It grows in unexpected places and between unlikely people. Now, we want to hear from you. Have you ever misunderstood someone, only to discover a whole new side of them later? Or maybe you've experienced a moment where someone's kindness surprised you and changed your perspective. Share your stories in the comments below. Let's create a community where everyone feels seen and valued. If you enjoyed this sweet love story and want more heartfelt tales that touch your heart and spark your imagination, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Join us on Sweet Love Stories for new episodes every week, full of romance, laughter, and unforgettable moments. Thank you for listening, and remember, sometimes the most unexpected love stories are the ones